Hi, I'm Corey Driver, and this is Moving Forward. So this week we are in Mark 5, and we're talking about healing two daughters. Does it ever happen that you read the text, the same text of the Bible multiple times, and only after years and years do you see that crucial detail that makes everything different? That happened for me this week. I was reading a piece called A Tale of Two Daughters by Dr. Betsy Barber, and it linked up that the two women, a woman and a girl, that are healed in this section are both daughters. And I think maybe I would go one step further and to say they're both family. Let me tell you why. So in our reading this week, Jesus has reversed the journey across the Sea of Galilee and has come back to friendly Galilean Israelite shores and is giving a teach-in on the beach. All of a sudden, the president of the synagogue, Jairus, asks and says, "Hey, my daughter is really sick. Can you come to my house and heal her?" And Jesus drops his teaching at the moment, which is significant in Mark. Jesus has come to teach, right? That is the messianic work. Jesus drops the teaching and goes and sets out immediately. While they were on their way, men from Jairus' house came out and told the man, "Hey, don't bother the teacher anymore. Your daughter is dead." Jesus, however, pressed on and gathered to himself Jairus, Peter, James, John, and the girl's mother, and went into their house and the room where the girl was, telling the crowd not to follow him. Once there, Jesus told the girl to get up and restored her to her parents. But there's another story interspersed with this. Well on the way, in the midst of the claustrophobia-inducing crowd, another person comes up to Jesus looking for his help. She touches his outer garment here in Mark, and she is healed. Jesus knows that power has gone out from him, scans the crowd, finds her, and asks what happened. She confesses, and Jesus says, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Now, Mark is a speedy gospel. Matthew and Luke are going to note that the woman touches the ritual fringes of Jesus' garment. Think Numbers 15 and Deuteronomy 22. Mark's got no time for that and just says she touches his garment. So when Mark pauses from the laconic style and includes an extra detail, we should take notice. The woman that Jesus calls daughter has been bleeding for 12 years. This is verse 25. The daughter of Jairus and her mother was born 12 years ago. That's verse 42. When Jesus is still speaking to the woman, and this is the key, when Jesus is still speaking to the woman, men come for the synagogue president's house and say, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher?" Your daughter. Now, there's no interruption. This is no indication that there's a side conversation. I think, and I'm not the only one, that they are talking to the woman. You see, she's been bleeding for 12 years since her daughter was born 12 years ago. All of a sudden, after the healing of the woman with the issue of bleeding, Jairus' wife, the girl's mother, is with Jesus and the disciples outside of the home. She is not in the room. Jesus brings her with Jairus and Peter, James, and John into the room. She wasn't there. She was with Jesus. Why? Because she's the woman that was just healed. Jesus has healed two daughters in the same family this day. The woman had an issue of blood from a difficult birth giving 12 years prior, and she has done everything she can to take care of this little girl, including going out in public sometimes, and some Pharisees and those who think similarly might have been, and indeed would have been, very offended by her touch and presence, preventing them from maintaining perpetual temple readiness. Others wouldn't have cared. In fact, probably most wouldn't have cared. You wash before you do the things you need to do, so we're okay. But she never knew who was who, right? It's hard to tell, and you might offend somebody, especially if they knew what was going on, and that has been her life, her day-to-day life, every day for 12 years. But she's looking after her daughter and she's taking care of her, and priorities matter. But her daughter's been sick. And her daughter's been sick for a while, such that when Jesus comes back across the Sea of Galilee, Jairus goes out to the beach and says, "My daughter is sick." Her mom knows this, though, too. And her mom would stay with her until the very end. But once the daughter's died, if Jesus can't heal that broken heart, if Jesus can't heal that death, at least he could stop the issue of bleeding. And she, for the first time in a long time, takes a step to take care of herself and goes to Jesus and touches his outer garment. I agree with Matthew and Luke, like touches the ritual fringe of his garment, and she is healed. And an interesting thing happens. In verse 33, the text says, she tells Jesus the whole truth. I don't think she's just telling Jesus, "Hey, I touched you." He already knew that. I think she was telling Jesus, "I got injured when I was giving birth 12 years ago, and now my daughter's dead. And I knew you were here, and I don't know what you can do for her or not, but I know you can heal me." And she takes care of herself. And Jesus, at that moment, gets rid of the crowd and says, "Everybody else go away. Jairus, woman, Peter, James, John, let's go immediately. No more lollygagging. I can't wait to heal this woman's broken heart just as I have healed her issue of blood." Here's the point. Jesus can be trusted with the whole truth of what needs to be healed. The same one that heals an issue of blood is the one who rises a little girl from the dead. The one who comforts is the one who accompanies, and the one who removes fear is the one who says there's nothing to fear at all, not even death, because Jesus conquers all. Thanks be to God. Amen.